Cutting edge guests, awesome, uncensored, jaw-dropping information, plus funny memes, good deeds, and loads of laughter. Kind of have it all. Ladies and gentlemen, if your soul's awake, then welcome, because you're in the right place.
Signs in the heavens. President Trump's recent and always powerful executive orders are expanding a massive FAFO across the deep state strongholds, you sovereigns. They are delivering the convergence every awake patriot worldwide has been waiting for. Tune in live as we discuss everything that's going on in this disclosure week now and next week coming up. Big, massive gold reset, UFOs, the Great Awakening, FAFO for Obama, Fossey, and so much more. There's probably 100 million around the world that will receive the military justice due for crimes against children, humanity, even sedition, treason, etc. We'll see you soon in the live chat. Share this with patriots everywhere. Until then. And welcome back here on the Sovereign Soul Show with me, Brad Wozny. And this is not a virtual background, it's a real background. So the sun will be going down, sunset time here where I am in South America. Welcome everybody. Hey, if you're just joining, really appreciate it. You know, the Sovereign Soul Show, as you can see from our logo, we stand for love, levity, and liberty. That's our creed. I've been a Reiki master over a decade, practicing over 25 years. That was a spiritual awakening to me for somebody who was raised in a Roman Catholic family, and a lot of things didn't work for me in the church system. System stands for suck your soul, time, energy, and money. Remember? Then I went, all right, well, what's next? Because I do know there's a higher power, a prime creator, and then Reiki was my awakening. Doesn't have to be yours. It can be something else, but it's all about the spiritual awakening that we're in right now. And as you know, the Bling Buddha, my mascot, fires red pills from his 9mm 6226 with a dove piece over his left shoulder. He's got the lotus flower of life holding that in his hand, and he's got a Punisher tattoo representing Save the Children with a gold necklace and a silver token with the XRP logo on it. Ripple XRP. And by the way, if you're just tuning in, you haven't found out what's going on today, congrats to everybody who's been holding silver. It just crossed $90. And here we are. Let's talk about where we are from a celestial spiritual awakening standpoint as we go down this path, which is absolutely incredible, in a return to constitutional money, sound money, and the disclosure that I was mentioning earlier. I wasn't able to come on Sunday because of where I am. There are rolling blackouts, Wi-Fi problems, barely able to get out some phone calls and messages. So I do want to acknowledge from me to all of the great mothers out there, a belated happy Mother's Day. We at least posted this across all of our social media channels. I hope you're following that. And then the day after was the Day of Ascension, May 11, 2026. That is one of the hallmark events in the Christian calendar, which is celebrated on the current calendar that we're rocking. But if you look at the Julian calendar, today, May 13th, is actually April 30th. And what do we know from the biblical prophecies? Watch April. So here we are on the very last day in the Julian calendar, April 30th, and you have silver that goes up to $90. Right now it's hovering at $88.56 as we're doing this right now live. That's pretty powerful because President Trump just hours ago stepped off the plane in China to meet with Xi. Now, for the optics, for the theatrical, for those out there who are in that normies that are waking up to the Great Awakening, and then they're going to have their spiritual awakening. The force of the spiritual awakening is the UFO disclosure. We'll get into that here as well. But you are right now watching, since President Vladimir Putin 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, said, we're going to back the US dollar, the new US American currency. I shared with you here in March, the new US American currency. And just yesterday, I shared on all of our socials that President Trump dropped the brand new gold-backed U.S. American dollar, constitutional money, the new currency. And here it is with his face on the $100 bill, with the first time ever any American president has added their autograph to any type of currency. Here it is, JD Vance underneath him. You have the gold Liberty Bell that is on the currency. There's so much more. And notice at the top lines and the bottom lines, it says Federal Victory Note. There's not the Federal Reserve. Remember, the Federal Reserve is a set of 7 families. It is a cartel, and it is a cartel which has ruled the world from a Luciferian and a satanic bloodlust for control, murder, and everything disgusting and tyrannical, which flies in the face of anything that a sovereign nation like America, about to be brought back to one nation under God, being rededicated on Sunday, May 17th in Washington. It's truly monumental. Absolutely. That is what President Trump put out in his message. So July 4th, when you have the new U.S. American currency, which is gold-backed currency, when President Trump right now is over with Z doing the things that were already worked out in a while ago in the back end and the deal signed, having a currency where you have, what was it that JD Vance said? 50 nations to revalue silver so it makes mining possible again. And from the analysis that was handed down when President JD Vance, Vice President JD Vance of the United States of America said that in January at that summit of 50 nations and countries. Remember, there's a difference between a sovereign nation and a country. Wow. They're going to revalue silver. They have the constitutional authority to revalue silver. And in order for silver to be possible for mining companies in America alone, the value of silver must be at least $268 an ounce. And those companies have to have assurances that it will be at minimum. So they're going to revalue and reset the price floor on silver. Remember, that is a national mineral, or a critical mineral by executive order issued by President Trump in November. So what we've been seeing here with the incredible industrial requirements for the appetite of silver, both in the United States and around the world, and China pulling out January 1st, no more silver exports unless you're one of 44 companies who has a silver export license. Then on April 1st of this year, just 6 weeks ago, went no more silver exports whatsoever. And then they were importing silver massively by the tens of thousands of tons. At the same time, LBMA, COMEX, CME, all those things are vanishing. All the paper and the derivatives, which we'll get into, which is interesting because CME Group over in the States right now is running ads on X and has been outed by Silver Trade and everybody else. Now, wait a second. You're running ads on X telling people that buying physical gold, silver, is risky. Yet they're the ones where we're seeing the price fixing, where we're seeing the continued class action lawsuits, stuff handed down by the DOJ, and then funky business going on behind the scenes when you have trading days and all of a sudden, a server overheated on American Thanksgiving and it stopped all the trading worldwide. A server overheated? You don't have triple redundancy failover and all those other wonky things. Banking systems coming down. And that's really powerful. But before we continue into that, let's just cover off a couple of things in the last few days since I've been on, and hopefully we don't have a rolling blackout right now during the live stream. And thank you everybody for being here on YouTube, Rumble, etc., Telegram, Twitter X. Great to see you, Kim, in Wisconsin, and everybody else. It's awesome. Maryland, thank you for posting there on YouTube. Great. So here we are. President Trump posting 159 Iranian ships during Obama-Biden. Remember, Obama flew $140 billion, or was $139 billion in cash and gave it to the Iranian regime. And then under Trump, none. They're at the bottom of the ocean. So I love that, how he puts that out there. And then President Putin announcing, I think the matter is coming to an end with the war in Ukraine. And just yesterday, amazing trolling for Venezuela. And he got all of the people in Canada. And then it got us Albertans going, whoa, hey, wait a second. We're to be the 51st state. Why are you saying they're the 51st state, Venezuela? And wow, that was just awesome. So great trolling right ahead of his visit in China, because there was massive influence there, right? From CCP side. Remember, there's black hats and white hats all across the world, everybody. Plus, from a spiritual awakening standpoint, just last Friday through Saturday, there was a massive increase in the Schumann resonance and downloads. So even people, if you had a little bit of headaches, neck aches, and whatnot, it's certainly not from the hantavirus, likely not from hantavirus, because what was it again that finally everybody's been made aware of? Oh, wait, in the COVID-19 biological, technological, radiological, chemical weapons of mass destruction, now acknowledged both from the Alliance of Indigenous Nations Tribunal last November 2025, actually October 2025, all the way through to the Court of Law in the Netherlands now, that some of the ingredients in there included hantavirus. So they injected hantavirus into what? 5 billion people. So everybody is going, no. None of that crap. None of that social distancing, masking, jabbing. That's it. Bye-bye. And my hat's off as well to the amazing RFK Jr. and his team for what they continue to do at HHS. By the way, hands up, everybody. Let's see them. If you are rather be a conspiracy theorist than being a brainwashed sheeple, because that entire pendulum of, awake, you're greatly awake, and then you're spiritually awake, to the complete normies, NPCs, and swindlers, that is really closing in the gap, right? Absolutely closing the gap. Yeah, Kim Wisconsin says here, I will never comply. Well done. Well done. So what's really key as well here, and by the way, that was a great meme from Truth Theory, so kudos to you guys for putting that up. I'd like to share it. What's really continuing to come down the road here, let's cover off the financial side and the UFOs. So UFOs now, because it goes back to the financial too. How is that convergence related? I'll share that with you as we continue through this show. Now let's go over here on the financial side, right? What have we been saying? Everybody who's into sovereignty, who's into freedom, and even Dr. Jan Halper-Hayes on GB News, right? 1913 Act. I probably said it on 50 plus shows here on the Sovereign Soul Show. Now we're over 900 shows. Year number 4, May this month, is the anniversary month for the show. So thank you all. And what we have is the 1913 Act, the FBI, the IRS, the ADL. There's another little organization, so a test for somebody. There's 4 organizations that were created under the 1913 Act. So I'm going to play this video for you from News Nation. It's a clip of President Trump with the reporter talking about 1913. And obviously, this is a prelude to the return to constitutional sound money, which then would have, if we're following George Washington's 1792, a bimetallic ratio of 15-1, 15 ounces of silver to buy an ounce of gold. Well, then just do the math. If silver has to be at least $268 an ounce for American companies to be able to mine it, and they have an assurance that price floor is set in law, federal law, then what would then, at a 15-1 ratio, gold be? Wow. I'm teaching now, people. I'm not just showing the math like I've done several other times in the equations. I'm teaching. Just think. 15-1. Plug it into your calculator. Plug it into something. At $268 an ounce. Silver. Silver is going to go up to 4 figures. As I shared in the last Senate Sunday show, 20,000 an ounce gold means $1,333 an ounce silver at a bimetallic ratio of 15-1 if gold gets to 20. So you can just do all those figures and see exactly what's being set up, because people going, oh my gosh, Brad, President Trump, new American currency, gold back. Like, I'm reading it from the treasury.gov press release website. It says new American currency. And there's nothing Federal Reserve about it, because the Federal Reserve is an absolute criminal cartel. And therefore, what we just saw in US Debt Clock 48 hours ago published $23.7 trillion in recaptured assets from the cartel. 23.7 trillion. Now, this lead up to this clip from George Kennedy Hello, George. George Magazine, originally started by JFK Jr., who will come back on scene and we'll see, but it's up to the time that the White Hats decide. I feel it's going to be at the end of this year, if not a little sooner. Here is that clip from News Nation and President Trump right now. Listen very carefully as it says. Here it is, everybody.
These tariffs and bringing revenue, additional revenue for our country. You've also mentioned before they could possibly replace federal income tax.
Possible.
Do you think that's
Someday it's possible. It used to be. So if you go back to 1913 is when they ended tariffs. We were the richest ever from 1850. It was all tariffs. We didn't have income taxes. From 1850 to 1913. In the 1887s, about 1887, they had the Great National Tariff Act. And it was a group of people that got together because our country was so rich, they didn't know what to do with the money. We had so much money, they didn't know what to do. It was a group of very prominent people that were set up to hand out money to everybody because we were the richest we ever were. Proportionately, we were in 1887, around that time, even in 1913, we ended them in 1913. How did that work out? And then we went to the income tax system, and then we had the Depression. And by the way, a lot of people try and say that, oh, tariffs with the Depression. No, they ended in 1913, and then we went to income tax, and then in 1929, you had the Depression. They did try and bring it back in 1931-32, but the Depression had long started, and this poor, beautiful nation was gone. It was gone. We suffered for 25 years. It took 25, 30 years to really recover from the Depression. And we don't ever want to see that happen again. The tariffs are vital to the success of this country. When I say I ended 7 wars, at least half of those wars were ended because of the power of tariffs. I was able to.
There you go. So, power of tariffs, right? And did you notice that President Trump talked about it took us 25, 30 years to recover from that, the Great Depression? Remember, I've shown you, I've done an entire show 2 years ago on the theft of America's gold. But the great summary that all of you are wide awake to at this moment in time is very simply that in 1933, executive order under Roosevelt, a complete deep stater, said, give us all your gold. And if any American doesn't hand in their gold, it's a 10-year, up to 10 years in prison, and it is a $10,000 fine. And that was 1933. And that gold price was $20.67 an ounce. And then 10 months later, after they got everybody's gold and they gave them Federal Reserve notes from the Federal Reserve, which was part of that act of 1913, it was the fourth body that was created, which is a for-profit organization and a criminal cartel. They gave everybody that. Well, they revalued gold at $35 an ounce. So they gave themselves a massive pay raise after they stole the gold of Americans. And then they forced the world to take the greenbacks and put them in circulation. So walking that forward, what President Trump said is 25 to 30 years. That takes us to JFK's era, where President Kennedy, again, signed and initiated Executive Order 11110, which was to print silverbacks from the Treasury and bypass the Fed entirely. And that is likely why he was assassinated by the CIA, where George Neff, who is also George Sheff, who is also George H.W. Bush, Bush 1, the first president, was standing there in Dallas watching, and likely a large participant in that. So now everything's leaked on from the files by executive orders, again, from Trump on the JFK, RFK, and Martin Luther King assassinations, right? So here we have the power of executive orders continuing with the UFO disclosure. So there's the financial side. There's the awakening. We haven't even touched again yet on the bonds, but I've shown you the clips from Henry Paulson, Hank Paulson, known as Hank, right? The former Federal Reserve chairman, who's a $1.5 billion net worth, saying that the Treasury needs to figure a way to, set up an emergency measures to bail us out of the Federal Reserve note, which is crashing. The U.S. Federal Reserve note dollar is crashing. It's worth 97% less than it was in 1913. We know that. I've shown Buffett saying that he's not in US dollars, he's moved to Japanese yen for it to rise. There you have it. I've shown George Schiff saying that the dollar is going to collapse, and then we have the massive bond market collapse, whether that's in the property taxes in America to all the school boards who are doing federal bond issuances, because it's all commerce in the enslavement system. British accreditation of registry as well, right? Just like you have a social security or a social insurance number at birth, then you've got a live birth certificate of you as a corporate chattel to USA Inc., Canada Crown Corporation Inc., registered in, where again? Washington, D.C., still showing right now, all the way from July 1, 1867. Now, lovely, somebody's got a chainsaw running behind me. I'm going to put this in. Give me one moment. And just let me know in the chat if you can get me on this audio. I'm going to just verify this as well. So good. It says that I'm on here with the audio settings. We'll continue. So that way you don't hear a chainsaw running. This is how you do it. South America, right? Get the chainsaws going before sunset. It's how it is. All right. So next up on the clips that I want to share with you is getting people ready for the UFO disclosure. So again, what religion, again, at the wholesale level, really, as far as I'm concerned, they're about the same. I said that in high school. How funny is that? At wholesale level, it's all the same. At a retail level, where I got that from, I don't know. It was download, I guess. The retail level, they're all politicized. And they're consumerized, right? Capitalized. Money. When you got to go to shul, Jewish, you got to pay your membership fee, or you can't come and worship. I know that for a fact. Roman Catholic, tithe. But now we know about Vatican Bank and all the gold. And then a lot of other deep stuff, right? And it just goes on and on from there. So here is a post that I put out on our channel on all the social medias just the other day. Again, getting people ready to break the cognitive dissonance and MK Ultra, and also ensure people don't do harm to themselves about the disclosure. So here it is. This is from May 9th, as I posted it, and I said, welcome to full disclosure, sovereigns. Whom else recalls when Queen Elizabeth publicly shifted into her true Draco reptilian form before thousands in 2016, prompting Buckingham Palace to issue a formal apology on its website. And what I've got right here is the excerpt from what they said in Buckingham Palace in 2016. She may not be human. She's a devoted leader and monarch. Direct from Buckingham Palace. Continue on. She was part of the deep state Draco overlord class who took over Earth for millennia. We the people are awake now. FAFO is at hand. Nothing can stop what is coming. And for those people who want to see a little bit closer, really? Was it there? 2016 at www.royal.uk/queen-scene-different-form-2016. There it is. While she may not be human, she is a devoted leader and monarch. There you have it. And what reportedly, the image that you see of that Draco reptilian shape-shifting queen, which I believe Princess Diana and many others have reported, come out, disclosed, whistleblowers as well. I mean, we've had people that, not here on this channel, but other people have come out as whistleblowers and said they have seen them eating, shape-shift into reptilian form and eat people and drink blood. And so that image of Elizabeth is supposedly hanging, or was hanging, on Buckingham Palace. Wow, what they saw. People have said that about Adele too, right? In the concert in New Zealand. Now, getting the people prepared for the truth of what's all been around us for millennia and millennia, maybe even millions of years, of the real history that's been hidden from us, the hidden history. Here's Representative Tim Burgett, Congressman, along with, or I think he's a senator, but along with Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, talking about people. Who are the people that are preventing the full release of disclosure and trying to usurp President Trump's executive order and Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. Here's the very brief clip on News Nation.
We were denied access to the skiff. And so to my knowledge, what's going to happen now is not only do we have the support of the chairman, but they're going to get a nice letter from Congress. And as you heard, Representative Ogle said, if we're denied, we're going to use the Holman rule. We'll defund the position.
And I was told by leadership that it was blocked by the intelligence community, not the intelligence committee, but the intelligence community. And that is a very chilling effect. If someone can reach through the veil of government and pierce it to the point of we do not have access to something, you got to start asking yourself who the hell's in control. And I think it'd be.
And there you are. And Rep. Tim Burchett was going on and telling the media there as well, it'd be wise for you guys to look at some of the financial disclosures of those corporations involved and, maybe find out where they're getting their profits from. And I think that's a tip of the hat to give us an example that perhaps they're using the off-world technologies, which have been found, captured, reverse engineered, and are using it for themselves for profit and for themselves for potentially nefarious operations here on Earth and off Earth, and hiding these things from us, we the people. It's extremely, extremely powerful. So thanks to UAP Reporting Center for that clip. That clip went everywhere. It's a News Nation's clip. And again, here's the White House, war.gov/UFO. Here is the clip. There's no audio on this one. All right. But notice what the White House posted in this clip. And I'm going to take us over there, right to the X account for the White House, and play this clip. So it reads, UAP files release, war.gov, and this is Department of War UAP PR38 Unresolved UAP Report 2013. All right. Notice, pay attention to the screen. See if I can make it a little bigger here. I can. There it is. What it's showing you. It's a minute and 46 seconds long. I'll play it for a minute. And what you see there seems to be a star of sorts. Notice it's closer in the bottom right-hand corner. Coming up now. 8-pointed star. Like Ezekiel in the Bible. It's interesting how it's got a trail behind it. I can't speak to why. And what it does say here, if you're having trouble reading, under the UAP files release, the subtext says, U.S. Central Command submitted a report of an unidentified anomalous phenomenon consisting of 1 minute and 46 seconds of video footage from an infrared sensor aboard a U.S. military platform in 2013. So you could only see this on infrared. And something else is floating there too. And this is where science, physics, metaphysics, and spirituality all converge with the UFO disclosure. So gone very soon will be the religions of the world. And we'll all be on an equal footing of truth and be living from our heart space, everybody who is benevolent, living from our heart space, and we'll be able to see other people's auras over the next number of years during this ascension we're going through. And it's an ascension at all levels, right? You have the spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, psychological, for everybody to come to grips with what we were purposely not told, what was hidden from us, our true origins of who we are, what our soul is, the sound of unlimited love, which is the great download 3 years ago I was given by Creator to share with all of you. Soul is the sound of unlimited love. How perfect is that? And we are an infinite spirit, our essence, and we are having a corporeal experience in these physical bodies right now. Now, here's another thing. Fox News picked this up as well, and they shared the clip. And I'm just going to show you that Fox News did it as well, just to have everybody aware of that it's getting out into the, well, they're still fake news, but we've got to see the day when those responsible at Fox News have their military tribunals for crimes against humanity and stolen elections and whatnot. But they picked it up, slapped their sticker on it from the Department of War, and are sharing it out. And that was 1.6 million views in the last 4 days since they shared it, just on their X account. So you know that this is getting out to a lot of outlets across the world. And that's what it is all about, is making sure that we're being brought up to speed on our true origins, our true history. And speaking of our true origins and our true history, for any of you that haven't seen it yet, I would highly encourage you, go and watch. Here's the show. I'm on the Rumble channel. So it has all of the shows going back 4 years, with exception to 35 shows, videos. Rumble went, no, we're going to censor it. The platform that doesn't censor, censored. But that was way back in the day. Yet go over here to the Bosnian Pyramids show and listen to Dr. Sam Osmanagich and Brad Wilson, these incredible men, explorers, adventurers. And remember, Dr. Sam Osmanagich has 48 published scientific papers on pyramids and civilizations. He did his PhD thesis in anthropology on lost civilizations, the Mayan civilization specifically. He's visited hundreds of pyramids around the world. As he said on the show, I went to 156 pyramids in Egypt, but the Egyptian government only acknowledges 118 of them. And the Bosnian pyramid, which is what he discovered, he unearthed, and then he bought 15 plots of land with his own money of the pyramid and around it, and then cleaned it up because it used to be a landfill. 100,000 square meters. Incredible, the size, and made the park completely for free for the people to come and experience the pyramid that is the largest in the world, 2.5 times larger than the Great Giza Pyramid, built 32,000 years ago, which is in perfect alignment with the Pleiades star system and the Fibonacci spiral sequence, which we can see in nature. And for anybody who doesn't know, you just look at a seashell or you look at swirls and anything else in nature, and it all relates to the Fibonacci spiral and the sequence. That includes the distance, the equidistance from your fingers to your hand, to your palm, from your wrist to your forearm, elbow, from your elbow back up. It all has a divine mathematical coding from our creator, and it all relates to the Fibonacci spiral sequence. So from an awakening standpoint, go there. We don't talk aliens at that one, right? But you do have Brad Wilson. We have the Secrets of Antarctica series we continue to do on his latest book that he published, Secrets of Antarctica. And it's truly, truly remarkable. And that's where we are. So we're in an exposure with the disclosure, which is coming out, and it's a full-scale great awakening. And again, it was awesome to see that Tedros at the WHO, World Health Organization, went, oh, hantavirus, everybody must put the mask on. They must get vaccinated. Hantavirus, you must follow our protocols. And less than 24 hours later, dozens of countries and sovereign nations around the world said, no, not going to happen. Yeah, we're done. We're done with these fake pandemics, these scamdemics, these lockdowns, and these weapons of mass destruction that you inject into people. By the way, Tedros, take a look at the fact that you had us inject hantavirus into people in the last batch of COVID-19, jabberoos. Yep. Pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. That is the people speaking up. And then you also see the Starmers of the world. You see all those little, as Scott McKay was just on his show with Michael Jaco on the live stream 2 nights ago, he says MTPs, right? It depends on where you are right now and your mindset. But again, M for Michael, T for Tango, P for Papa, that's phonetic alphabet. Starmer, all those other ones. The Barry Soweto, who was known as Barack Hussein Obama, who has a social insurance number from a guy who died in the 1940s. So Barry Soweto, and even Trump, when we reposted this, Trump made a post on Twitter back in 2012, and said, when I was 18, people used to call me Donald John Trump. But when Barack was 18, people used to call him Barry Soweto. Weird. That was 2012. So this is a powerful plan that Q, the White Hats, have been executing, and they have been fighting on behalf of all of mankind, all of sentient life too, your cats, your dogs, your horses, your animals, life on Earth as we know it, for decades upon decades. So not only the signs in the sky, the signs are in the White House accounts, and they are here on the Sovereign Soul Show. Let me also mention to you, because I talked about Buffett, Paulson, and even Jamie Dimon. Here's the CEO of JP Morgan, legendary investors, precious metals analysts, right? Hard asset-based advocates now all beginning to warning about debt, the bond market stress, the instability of the US federal dollar, fiat currency, and monetary pricing, all at the same time. What a complete 180 that they've made, where they're all about pushing people into ETFs and index funds and whatnot. There's nothing physical. It's not even real paper that they're buying, right? It's paper, but it's zeros and ones on a computer ledger. And it is fractional investments, because if somebody goes into an exchange traded fund, an ETF on precious metals, silver, gold, palladium, copper, platinum, let's throw it all in there. You know, there's a leveraged ratio of 350 to 1 or 49 to 1. But if somebody goes, well, I want to cash in my chips, I want that gold, physical, precious metals right now, silver. We're like, yeah, no, it really actually doesn't exist. You know, we have it somewhere in a depository. We have about this much, but we're saying that we can leverage this much in our index fund because of the value-based investing that you're doing. People just go direct and get your physical silver, physical gold direct. And for all those in the USA that you're aware of, we Donald John Trump Jr., right, and myself, the Sovereign Soul Show here, we are partnered with Goldco because they are America's #1 asset protection specialists in the physical metals space, voted by Money Magazine #1, because back then they had 4,000 plus 5-star reviews. Better Business Bureau as well. Now they have over 8,000 5-star reviews. And if you have an IRA or a 401k with over $50,000 or more, you could qualify with them if you allocate a portion into it for some instant match on silver and gold. I'm going to play this little clip from President Trump talking about it, along with our lovely Goldco partner, people over there, great to connect with. Because here's the thing. If you have an investment advisor or a broker, they cannot put you into physical precious metals directly, because they would be fired for selling out the client, and they could even lose their license in many cases. And we've had 2 PhD of economics on this show who have both verified that, because they previously were both brokers. And each one of these PhD economists who were previously on Wall Street were brokers, have said, and again, they promote different precious metals things. They have both acknowledged that too. So here we are. Go with Goldco. It's a free call. It's a free report. And ladies, bring your husbands into this right now. 100% this bond market's going to collapse. Look at everybody saying it. And who knows if it's going to happen, as Jamie Dimon was reported as saying, in the next 5 days, 5 weeks, or 5 years. Well, you got a new American currency on July 4th. Probably 5 days to 5 weeks is what I'm guessing.
All right, you sovereign souls, now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver if you already have not. And if you are and you have a chance to do so, I highly encourage to do so even more, because gold and silver will launch the golden age, which Commander-in-Chief Trump has continuously referenced.
The dollar is going down, and it's not a pretty picture, and it's not being sustained by proper policy and proper thinking. This was an opportunity, and maybe an opportunity to show people what's happening with the dollar so that we can do something about it.
Get some if you can. BuddhaLovesGold.com will take you to our partner Goldco. They have over 6,000 1,000 5-star reviews. This is why now is the time to buy gold and silver, because we have thousands of Americans buying gold today. The rising inflation has reduced our purchasing power. Dysfunctional politics don't work for us. The US dollar has lost over 97% of its value since 1913, while the price of gold has increased over 9,000%. Silver has fared well against the dollar too, with the silver price increasing over 4,500% since 1913. It's about wealth protection. Physical precious metals act as a hedge against dips in volatile markets. Go over to BuddhaLovesGold.com. That's www.BUDDHA, BuddhaLovesGold.com. You will download your free silver and gold guide today, and our great people over there at Goldco will take care of you. That's BuddhaLovesGold.com. You'll see a picture of me right on there, Brad Wozny. And once again, BRICS is the new financial system. Asset-backed precious metals is the way of the future. This is about financial control. Diversifying your assets with gold and silver puts you in control of your wealth at BuddhaLovesGold.com.
And there's a great quote there I posted in the chats. Wise people see trouble coming and they get out of its way, but fools go straight to the trouble and they suffer for it. So, complete conspiracy theorist here. We're batting 10,007 to 0 on the deep state side. All those conspiracies become facts. Why? Because we read. It's very simple. You can read. They have to tell everybody what they're going to do, the Luciferian, the Satanists. And you go, they've just told us what they're going to do. So that means that. And here we go. And here we are right now. So when the Luciferians, who are out there right now as quote unquote insiders in the financial markets, are saying, this is what's going to happen, like we saw in 2008, guess what? Here we are. And once again, Jamie Dimon has said that this is, and so does Schiff, when I played that clip of him on Fox News and CNBC Market Watch, January and March, going, this is going to rival 2008. It's going to be way larger than that. And some have even said, 107 said here, it's going to be 80 times greater, the collapse that's about to happen, than what we saw in 2008. Bond markets, and what I've had here with a PhD economist has said that there's hundreds of quadrillions. There's 4 quadrillions, which is thousands of billions of dollars, which just blows my mind, right? When you're doing the math, in debt in the marketplace. So something's going to go, and then the new stuff's going to come in, and it's going to be a gold-backed currency. And once again, here's the new currency. And once again, in March, I read to you the press release from treasury.gov, Scott Bassett. New American currency, July 4th. Here it is, July 4th. And if anybody wants to see that a little bit closer, well, okay, I'll play this video for you. And there it is, replaying it one more time. Beautiful. The new federal victory note, not a reserve note, federal victory note. And you have Independence Hall on one side, Trump's picture on the other. You have the Golden Liberty Bell. You have 1776 written. There's so many comms in this, and constitutional money and U.S. Treasury, nothing federal about it. And also remember, once again, that in 2019, Trump placed the Federal Reserve underneath the Treasury. Got a question here from YouTube. What is our handle on X? It is, you're right, yes, because there have been people ripping us off. So let me just put it in here so people can follow it, and I'll show it to you as well. If you go to the X account at the Blinged Buddha, the BLINGD Buddha, you will see the Sovereign Soul 2. It's our third account. Elon has not restored the prior 2 accounts. He still keeps shadow banning all of this. We've had multiple times. We've done appeals. That's shadow banned, but there you are. Pinned up here, March 26, 2025 is the show with Lieutenant General, United States Air Force retired Thomas McInerney, and another national treasure, his great friend from West Point, 1961, U.S. Army Major General Paul E. Vallely. And you'll see Bishop Jim O'Connor on the left, Colonel Chuck Sellers, former deputy commander of Delta Force, on the right, myself on either side, flanking these great men and national treasures, President Trump's image at the top. And here you are. So that is our true account, over 10,000 posts. If you don't see that, it's not us, and it's somebody that has taken it over. Thank you very much for asking, and we'll put it right here into the chat for everybody if you would like to follow that. We really do appreciate it. Everything right here. Not too bad, right? You know, a guy sitting here who can be have his bank accounts taken by China, right? Have his entire family murdered, maimed from Big Pharma in China, be blocked from America because he refused the mask and the jab. Oh, you're not American. You have no rights. Word for word, what the supervisor of the Customs and Border Patrol told me. And we have that on recording. You're not American. You don't have any rights. Well, this violates Nuremberg, international tribunals, masks, jabs, not required. And again, didn't even have to go into anything about them being part of the USA corporation headquartered out of Washington, D.C. on soil that they're not districted for, but it is what it is, right? And to be sitting here separated from the few loving family members that are wide awake, that never took the job, but lost their jobs, lost their businesses because of all of that, and they're Americans and they're patriots and they vote for Trump, and could still be doing that with all thanks to you supporting by sharing, liking, commenting, whatnot, just being here, and then seeing how this resonates as well. Do your own diligence. Speaking of diligence, as you know, this show is about signs in the heavens, right? You know, that's on the thumbnail. In case anybody missed the thumbnail and they're tuning in right now, I'll just put it in here for one more time before we roll over to the next and the final part of our segment here today. It's what's so cool and so incredibly amazing is how the actual white hats have been showing people the good, the bad, and the ugly, I think is the best way to put it. Signs in the heavens, disclosure week ahead, big gold reset, UFOs, and the Great Awakening. There we have it. The lovely Mother Mary on the left, your President 47 on the right, the American Golden Eagle in front of the emblem of EO 11110, put into play by President Kennedy. And yeah, a couple of UFOs around the Capitol, like we saw during President Dwight D. Eisenhower's area as well. Interesting. And then we have gold and silver, which exactly is God's money. God's money here for us to use and leverage as a store of value and sound money. So then, the good, bad, and the ugly. And I think it's great because it's a great awakening. The great, and then the deep state. Let me take you over here to the last part of the program of what the White Hats have been showing you. And this is about the final bastions of the deep state. Nick Sorter published this. It's been all over from a couple days ago when Barack Obama, Barry Soweto, is up in Canada, Toronto, as a matter of fact, at Will York Hotel, holding private discussions with Prime Minister Mark Carney. Obama needs to sit down and figure out his freaking place before his ass ends up in prison for violating the Logan Act. Trump's our president. You've been sidelined, Hussein. A couple of comments about this. The Logan Act. No former president can go and meet with heads of state of other nations and act or do business on behalf of the United States of America unless they have been granted such. Therefore, if they don't, they go to prison. Well, that's the Logan Act. So there's Barry Soweto violating that, right? And who was he there with? It was Barry and Alex Soros, George Soros' son, meeting with Carney, Carney's husband, dressed up as a woman. I totally believe it. And Chrystia Freeland. Chrystia Freeland, who wrote the biography for George Soros, who could potentially be a granddaughter of Adolf Hitler, but also potentially could have a bloodline relationship to Soros, who's now in the Ukraine for Vladimir Zelensky, raising money for the Ukraine war. So at the Royal York Hotel in downtown Toronto, which they showed in suits all the time behind Harvey's desk. And does anybody remember In Suits, if they ever watched that show filmed in Toronto, right? But it was supposed to be a New York law firm. There was somebody who married Prince Harry, who was a star in that show. One of the stars, co-star. Megan something or other. Married Prince Harry. And the Royal York Hotel. And the Royal York Hotel. Those who have been fancying Q drops, you can notice what's up here. Barry and Alex with Carney and Chrystia, Freeland, together with closed-door meetings, talking about the New World Order in front of fake news outlets. Interesting. So what they've just shown, the white hats, are, hey, here's the guy, Carney, who doxed all of us Canadians, Albertans, doesn't matter who, during Freedom Convoy, take their bank accounts, seize their properties. That's it. Some of them might have to flee elsewhere to the U.S. and go ask for asylum because they still, like James Bowder, are under a nationwide warrant in China, the Crown Corporation, which is registered in Washington, D.C. since July 1, 1867. But, James can't come back to Alberta, which is where he was raised and lived and started the Canadian Freedom Convoy. But what's going on right now? Thank you, Mickey Willis, by the way, for putting out the post this very day, today, asking for Canadians who are part of the Freedom Convoy, even those who orchestrated it, and James and I are already getting back and forth a couple hours ago before coming on, and to DM Mickey Willis so Mickey can hear the story, because Mickey Willis, the incredible documentarian filmmaker with his wife and his team of Plandemic and The Great Awakening, and about to come out on Apple TV, on Amazon Prime, and Netflix, Code of Creation, about David Schmidt and the LifeWave X2O water technology and our LifeWave X39 patches. Still wearing it right now, everybody. I hope you all have caught the LifeWave. That hits 370 million subscribers in a month to a month and a half, and his next project is the Canadian Freedom Convoy. 51st day, baby. Remember, in November 15, 1777, Article 11 accepts the colony of Canada into these United States of America, the Constitutional Republic. Let's also remember, everybody, that Norman Traversey is a direct descendant of two Traverseys who were personal messengers in the 2nd Canadian Regiment for George Washington, and one of them was shot KIA during the Revolutionary War, and the other one, Captain Joseph Traversey, survived the war, was wounded though, but survived, and was there when George Washington at West Point, New York, disbanded the Continental Army of America after the Revolutionary War. And eventually, on those same powerful, hallowed grounds, West Point, United States Military Academy, and what else is in West Point, New York? Something to do with America's silver and gold. I'll let you all go look that one up and find out what else exists in West Point, New York, where George Washington walked those incredible grounds, disbanded the Continental Army, and then in 1792, what else did he do? He signed the Coinage Act into power, and the Philadelphia Mint was created, and the bimetallic ratio of 15-to-1 silver to print constitutional money based on God's money, silver and gold, as the American currency, which President Trump is bringing back in less than 6.5 weeks on July 4th. A gold-backed U.S. American dollar, everybody. Nothing can stop what is coming. Here we are, everyone. You're at the tipping point of history, because nothing is going to stop that from already happening, because it's done in the background. The quantum financial system is set up. You've got everybody on rails. And again, it was done, for those who haven't watched this show, November of 2025, Everything is live. ISO 20022 live with XRP Ledger, XRP tokens, and the new United States stablecoin issued against gold and silver, precious metals reserves, and so much more. That's for another show coming up. As for now, thank you all for being here. God bless you all. What an amazing time to freaking be alive, 4 days away from the rededication of America to one nation under God. And boy, wouldn't it be amazing if the history pans out, and it might be true, might be, we'll see, that the continent of America, North America in particular, was the real Israel and the real place where Jesus, Yahshua, was born. Wow. Wouldn't that be revelatory? We'll see. We'll see. Maybe not. But what impacts your life right now is proper previous planning to prevent a piss poor performance. And make sure you got everything that you need in case the EBS or the EAS, because different places they call it different things, goes off and you need to hold tight for 10 days and watch some certain news be brought out. Some cash, some food, water, stores, just in case you have some visitors knocking on your door and they're not prepared to, because most aren't. Make sure they know what to do. We've got it all covered here in multiple shows on that. And pray and put out good energy. And I would hope that you have physical precious metals if you can. Once again, to our great partners at Goldco, like Donald Trump Jr. and I have stated, hey, we're partnered with them. And it'd be great if we get Don Jr. on the show. So Don, if you're watching White Hats, let's bring you on the Sovereign Soul Show for 10 or 15 minutes. God bless you all, everybody. And remember, if you have an IRA or 401k in the States only at this moment in time, you may be able to qualify for an instant match in gold or silver with our partner, Goldco. Here it is right now. See you next time.
All right, you sovereign souls, now is the time to protect your money with gold and silver if you already have not. And if you are and you have a chance to do so, I highly encourage to do so even more, because gold and silver will launch the golden age, which Commander-in-Chief Trump has continuously referenced.
The dollar is going down, and it's not a pretty picture, and it's not being sustained by proper policy and proper thinking. This was an opportunity, and maybe an opportunity to show people what's happening with the dollar so that we can do something about it.
Get some if you can. BuddhaLovesGold.com will take you to our partner Goldco. They have over 6,000 5-star reviews. This is why now is the time to buy gold and silver, because we have thousands of Americans buying gold today. The rising inflation has reduced our purchasing power. Dysfunctional politics don't work for us. The US dollar has lost over 97% of its value since 1913, while the price of gold has increased over 9,000%. Silver has fared well against the dollar too, with the silver price increasing over 4,500% since 1913. It's about wealth protection. Physical precious metals act as a hedge against dips in volatile markets. Go over to BuddhaLovesGold.com. That's www.BUDDHA, BuddhaLovesGold.com. You will download your free silver and gold guide today, and our great people over there at Goldco will take care of you. That's BuddhaLovesGold.com. You'll see a picture of me right on there, Brad Wozny. And once again, BRICS is the new financial system. Asset-backed precious metals is the way of the future. This is about financial control. Diversifying your assets with gold and silver puts you in control of your wealth at BuddhaLovesGold.com. Thanks for joining us on the program, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, follow, subscribe, share this with 9 friends and family. And of course, if you enjoy our blinged Buddha firing red pills from his 9mm, let us know.